In the sensory pathway, we discuss from receptor, then afferent, then spinal cord, then thalamus, then cortex. This is opposite. In the motor pathway are the descending pathway. They start from the cortex, goes to the spinal cord, okay, and then goes to the muscle fiber. So they start from the cortex, okay. In the cortex, there are various parts from where they can start. Part number 1 is called as precentral gyrus. You can see here. This is central sulcus. Okay, in the front of this is called as precentral gyrus. It is bilateral cortex and central sulcus. It is between bilateral cortex and central sulcus. It is called as primary. It is not 10. Primary motor cortex. It is also called as primary motor cortex. And what is the function? Function is generation of idea. You want to pick a glass of water. You want to go there. So whenever there is an idea, you want to perform any act. So that idea in your brain is generated in the primary motor cortex, also called as precentral gyrus, and they have cortical association area in frontal lobe. And which Brodmann was the scientist who have given numbers to different part of the cortex. So this area is called as 4. Okay, 4. So you are forerun. So remember like that, forerun is for execution of the movement. Now you want to execute the movement. So in the cricket, there is a forerun. Okay, so when you want to execute the movement, you have to generate the idea from which area? Primary motor cortex. Now, post central gyrus I have discussed already in the sensory area, and that is why it is also called as sensory cortex. Behind the central sulcus, Brodmann area number 312, and this area is one of the most important area because it has sensory motor coordination. 100% of sensory information are going in this area, post central gyrus, Brodmann area number 312. Okay, and motor neurons are also coming from this cortex. So they have best sensory motor coordination. Is this clear? This is the second part. Now the third part is before precentral gyrus. Number 1 is premotor, number 2 is supplementary motor. So first area was primary motor, second area is sensory motor, third area have two parts, one is premotor, other is supplementary motor. Premotor is helping you in posture setting. For example, if I have to write on the smart board, I have to stand first. I have to set my posture first, only then I can. Or you have to shoot something. Okay, you are a soldier, so first of all you have to achieve some posture. So posture setting is done by premotor cortex, and supplementary motor cortex is important for bimanual coordination. Whatever you are doing, two hands are involved. So bimanual, you are doing surgery, you are climbing a tree. These all are like bimanual coordination. So for bimanual coordination, which area is important? Answer will be supplementary motor cortex. So these are the area. Now they all are coming from the cortex. 30% come from primary motor cortex. Primary, it can be written like this, primary motor cortex. 30% comes from premotor and supplementary motor. 40% maximum are coming from sensory cortex. If I ask you this question, maximum is coming from, most of them answer they are coming from primary motor. No, don't think it is primary, so maximum motor neuron will descend from this area. No, only 30% from primary motor, 30% from pre and supplementary motor, 40% motor neurons from the cortex are coming from somatosensory cortex. Why? They have best sensory motor integration, and they all are coming from which layer of the cortex? Layer 5. 97% are coming from pyramidal cells, only 3% are coming from larger giant pyramidal cells. And what are these cells called as? The larger giant pyramidal cells are called as cell of Betz or bed cell, BETZ. These information are very important to write in your examination. See, if your concepts are clear, Whatever may be question, you can write. Nowadays in the MBBS, they are focusing to write pinpoint. Otherwise, if you just keep on writing like I say, they will cut your marks. They see your concept. So try to build the concept and try to remember everything in points. That this topic have 100 points, this topic have 20 points, and try to memorize that point. Try to remember that point by writing, by practicing. These all things can be concrete if you are practicing by writing and then revising again and again and again. Is this clear, doctor? Now, after the cortex, the descending tract are called as motor neurons. In your medical career, you keep on hearing the word upper motor neuron, lower motor neuron. In your medical career, you keep on hearing these words, upper motor, lower motor. So what is upper motor, lower motor? So lower motor neurons are basically cranial nerve. They are mainly cranial nerves. It should not be here. They are mainly cranial nerve and spinal nerve. They are mainly cranial nerve and spinal nerve. And upper motor neurons are higher, they are coming from higher central and controlling lower motor neuron. Is this clear? So lower motor neurons are, for example, if I am making this diagram, these cranial nerve, spinal nerve going to the muscle. They are your lower motor neuron, and those fiber coming from the cortex or subcortex and controlling lower motor neurons are called as upper motor neurons. They can come from cortex, they can come from subcortex. So if they come from cortex, they are called as corticospinal tract, okay, also called as pyramidal tract. And those who are coming from subcortex, they are called as extrapyramidal tract. They can be from midbrain, pons or medulla. So remember, upper motor neurons can be from cortex, from subcortex. If they come from cortex, they are called as pyramidal tract. If they come from subcortex, they are called as extrapyramidal tract. It can be from midbrain, pons or medulla. This point is clear. What are the pyramidal? So you can say pyramidal tract is actually corticospinal tract. Corticospinal tract. Rest all are extrapyramidal tract. Regarding the pyramidal tract, 80%, you can say pyramidal tract, you can say corticospinal tract, they will cross in the medulla, and now they are called as lateral corticospinal tract. Okay, they will cross in the medulla and they are called as lateral corticospinal tract, and they are called as skilled voluntary activity. They are for what? So 80% of the pyramidal tract that crosses in the medulla are called as lateral corticospinal tract. They are for skilled voluntary activity, and rest 20% of the fiber does not cross in the medulla, and they are called as anterior corticospinal tract, and they are for posture. They are for posture. So once again, pyramidal tract will descend and 80% will cross. Those who are crossing will be called as lateral corticospinal tract. They are for skilled motor activity. For example, you are doing surgery, you are painting something. So these are skilled activity. For that, lateral will be involved. And suppose along with the surgery you are standing. So who will set the posture? 20%. So remember, extrapyramidal tract and these 20% of tract help you in maintaining your posture. 80% of the fiber which crosses in the medulla, they are for skilled voluntary activity. And this you already know, 3% come from bed cell. Now, corticospinal tract regulate lower motor neuron supplying your skeletal muscle by having alpha motor and gamma motor. You already know that alpha motor is for contraction of muscle and gamma is to increase the sensitivity of muscle fiber to maintain the muscle tone. This already we have discussed. Now you can see in this diagram, these are coming from the cortex, so they are called as corticospinal tract. It can be also called as pyramidal tract. Corticospinal tract or pyramidal tract. Okay, they will cross internal capsule, they decussate in the pyramid, I mean medulla, and 80% of the fiber they are called as lateral corticospinal tract, 20% are called as ventral corticospinal tract. They are for mainly posture, they controls mainly posture, and these are mainly for skilled voluntarily activity. So 80% of the fiber you can see in this diagram, 80% of the fiber they are crossing in the medulla, and therefore skilled voluntarily activity. 20% of the fiber along with the extra pyramidal tract helping you to set the posture. Now coming extra pyramidal tract, I told you those fibers which are coming from anywhere except the cortex are called as extra pyramidal tract. They come from RAS. If they come from RAS, reticular activating system, they will be called as reticulospinal. If they come from vestibular nucleus, vestibulospinal. If they come from tectum of the midbrain, they are called as tectospinal. If they come from red nucleus, they are called as ruberospinal tract. So they are all, you can see these all are extra pyramidal tract. So depending on the which area they are coming, so they can come from RAS, from vestibular nucleus, from tectum, from ruberum. Ruberum is red nucleus. Evolution is old and mainly they descend medially. Remember, pyramidal tract are descending laterally. Now, very important point for anatomy also. I want to integrate with anatomy also. So, normally extra pyramidal tract are descending medially, pyramidal tracts are descending laterally, but ruberospinal tract is the exception. Lot of exceptions are there. Although ruberospinal tract, which is coming from red nucleus, is categorized in extra pyramidal, they descend along with the pyramidal tract. Where? Medially, laterally? Laterally. You can see it. I will show you in the diagram also. So, although ruberospinal tract is the example of extra pyramidal tract, but they will descend along with the pyramidal tract, not medially but laterally, and they also control distal muscle for voluntarily skilled movement. Now see, this is again a paradox. I told you extra pyramidal tract along with the 20% of pyramidal, they are helping in the posture control by controlling proximal muscles, paraspinal muscles and anti-gravity muscles. This I have told you. Proximal muscles, paraspinal muscles and anti-gravity, I can stand like that because of paraspinal muscles. But those extra pyramidal tract which are coming from the red nucleus, that is ruberospinal tract, they descend along with the pyramidal and they behave like pyramidal. How? By controlling distal muscle. So if they control distal muscle, they will help you in fine surgery, fine painting, writing notes. So whatever you are doing, fine movements, they will be controlled by 80% of the pyramidal tract that will cross in the medulla and ruberospinal tract. I hope this is clear. This is the most important concept of extrapyramidal. You can see also in the diagram, what you can see here, that this is lateral and medial vestibular nucleus, this is vestibulospinal tract, you can see this is tectospinal, now this is rectospinal. So they all are coming, you can see, medially, but the red nucleus, ruberospinal tract, it is the lateral most, just like pyramidal tract. Rest all are medially, the lateral most is coming from the red nucleus. So if they come from tectum, it will be called as tectospinal. If they come from reticulum, they will be called as reticulospinal. If they come from vestibular nucleus, they are called as vestibulospinal tract. So it's very simple. All the motor neurons coming from cortex are pyramidal. If they come from anywhere except the cortex, they are called as extrapyramidal tract. Among extrapyramidal tract, the one which is coming from the red nucleus, they descend like pyramidal, they behave like pyramidal. Now, reticulospinal tract, I told you that which is coming from the RAS. What is RAS? Reticular activating system. Okay, it is in the pons also, it is in the medulla also. So that which is coming from the pons is actually excitatory to anti-gravity muscles. Medulla is inhibitory to anti-gravity muscles. So this can help you, it can work you on extensor. It can work on which group of muscles? It can work on extensors. Suppose I am standing like that, my extensors are working. Who will be working? Pontine reticulospinal tract. But if I am flexing my leg or flexing my hand, mainly leg, not hand, hand is for rubrospinal, I will tell you later. So when you flex your leg for walking, who will work? Medullary reticulospinal tract. Why? It is inhibitory to anti-gravity muscles. So pontine reticulospinal is helping you in flexion, extension, and medullary helping you in flexion. So you can walk. You can walk. So both are needed for limb movement. You can walk only when you can flex and you can extend your leg. So this is extensing and that is flexing your limb muscle. So reticulospinal tract basically involved in limb movement. Is this clear? Now tectospinal tract. Suppose you are playing a cricket. A ball is coming towards you. Suddenly you will move your head like this. It is reflex, visual reflex. So movement of your neck on the body is a part of posture controlled by tectospinal tract, the tectum of the midbrain. It comes from tectum of the midbrain, goes to the spinal cord. It's called as tectospinal tract.